Yes, this man has no dick. You're right. And then who's the main opposition at the city council in that movie? He's a dick too.
So since we've already gotten there, he was on my list. That was number 5, just because I've seen Ghostbusters recently.
Peter Venkman?
No, Walter Peck.
Well, then okay. I tell you what, we'll start with you for number 5. Walter Peck, Ghostbusters.
5, Walter Peck, Ghostbusters. That's dickless. As a matter of fact, man causes a meltdown. Ghosts everywhere. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. You guys have seen it. Total asshole.
Yeah. Do you any lines, anything that sticks out, and just this guy's general?
No, I mean you had the dickless back and forth was probably the one, but nah, yeah, just a general dick the whole time.
I feel like there's some okay. This guy is thinking somewhat rational because these guys are fighting ghosts. You know what I mean? He doesn't seem to believe. Now, I get it that in this movie the ghosts are a real thing, but he is like, come on, you know what? These fucking the Ghostbusters? You fighting ghosts? Is this what we're putting our faith in, the Ghostbusters?
Yep.
But
I get it.
No, but you have to remember that he is also unwilling to listen to anything they have to say. These guys have obviously become celebrities for going around town and doing whatever it is they're doing with their proton packs. They seem to have made a legitimate business out of this thing. All sorts of upper echelon individuals are calling them to come take care of their ghost issue. And the scene that really sets it off, it's like, well, you don't understand what it does. I don't care what it does. Shut it down. And then he forces them to cut the cable, and then he literally opens up a dimension for Gozer the Destroyer to come in and take care of New York City in the form of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Now, what's his title? Do you remember? Is he just a city councilman, or is he?
No, he's actually with the EPA. So apparently he's concerned for the environment. He thinks the Ghostbusters are screwing it up. Not the slime to be found later under the sewers of New York. That's not an environmental issue whatsoever.
Now, Calvert, how much clout does the EPA hold in New York City? An actual resident, I'm curious.
Oh yeah, well I'm fully versed on government versus city energy regulations here in New York. I was just reading that in my spare time before this podcast to answer that very question. No, all right. I actually thought about putting Walter Peck on my list as well, and I think the interesting thing about him is if you put yourself, let's say you work for the EPA, you're in a regulator, you're stationed in New York. Somebody's like, "Hey, Walter, these guys they bought this firehouse and they set up this sort of nuclear ghost containment device in there, and they're walking around with plasma guns and zapping things, and they're shutting, they're draining all this power from the city to contain their ghosts. I mean, what would you do? Would you say, oh yeah, I'm going to let those guys handle this. They sound like they're a bunch of sane individuals. No, shut it down. So he is a dick though. He's a total dick. But the reason that he's such a dick is that because Bill Murray's character is on our side, and we're rooting for that dick over the other dick.
It's true.
That is true. But once they do release the ghosts and all hell's breaking loose and they're in the mayor's office, there is still the exchange between, that's where the dickless line comes in. Walter Peck is doubling down on being right in this scenario, and he's unyielding. And that's what makes the movie move forward too, is he's an unyielding bureaucratic asshole. And if they had maybe just paid for the permit, he probably would have let him go a lot. But I do want to say with Walter Peck, like, the movie does not progress without his character, which does solidify his assholishness. You need that full push. And if you think about it, there's 4 Ghostbusters. Ernie Hudson was in the movie. And if it wasn't for an asshole like Walter Peck, it's 4 against 1. So that just shows you how big an asshole he really was.
Now, you saw that movie came out when you were, what, 5, 6, roughly?
What year was Ghostbusters? 84, so I was 5.
Okay. Did you feel that way when you were a child? Like, man, I hate that guy.
I remember, I think Ghostbusters might have been the first movie. I don't remember it that well in the theater. I remember it better on VHS, but that was, according to my dad, the first movie I went to see in the theater. And I can remember that. I can remember, like, him being the mean man. Like, that's what I remember as a child. It's like, that's the mean man. And as you get older, you realize there's a lot of layers There's a lot of layers to that crotchety meanness, and especially now that I'm in my 40s, it's like, yep, I know that guy was broken at some point in his early 30s when he was trying to go for some upper echelon government appointee position. His spirits were broken. He's in a very low-level bureaucratic position, and he can now really put his thumb in the eye of the common man, and he will put that thumb as deep into the eye socket as he possibly can.